Hey, you've been doing great. I'm gonna take you off.
Taking out work.
The testing, as much as you've been doing, you're doing great. I'm proud of you. Great job. Just beware, they could call you at any time, but I'm taking you off all what you've been doing. You've been doing great. You're happy, you're coming here, you're negative, no more. Just be careful because you can still get called, but I'm taking off the Monday, Thursday, okay? Good job, man. Well, let me get your reset. Hold on. We'll get you a normal reset, okay? 30 days.
Hey everybody, welcome to American Courts. That came a little bit quicker than I thought it would. Hope everybody's having a good night. We're going to jump into some Judge Fleischer from today. He had some interesting ones come in through there. We start off with, let's look at a competency one. There was a neat hearing about that. Thank you everybody for being there. We'll jump in.
Malik Swearingen. Judge, I believe, is incompetent. He's picked up on these old warrants from 2002 and 2001. The situation where they were mental health crises that they came out. He was in custody of his father and grandmother at the time, and they were working to try to put him in CPS custody. Now that he's adult, his mother and a family friend that he works for is here. Allison Matthews was on this case before. She texted me over the weekend once he got picked up, asking me if I could take over. I don't believe he's competent. Mother is concerned because he's in general population. He's been with her, and he works for that gentleman back there. If we could get him out on a PR bond and not have him in custody to do the competency exam. And we do release instructions where he's picked up by her tomorrow at another time.
If I bring him out, can we talk to him or no?
You can talk to him, but he's going to be talking about things that are not relevant.
Okay. How old is he, Lori?
He's 20. He'll be 21 December 1st.
What's he been doing with his life?
What he's been doing with his life? He just started living with me.
Is it recent? Has it always been like this? Was there a catastrophic event that?
From his father and his grandmother. Yes, sir.
What happened?
I'm not his father.
Has he always had mental health issues is what?
Not till his father gave him some drugs, like some.
Father gave him drugs?
Yes, it was embalming fluid, yes, and it messed him up, like.
Did he give him?
Embalming fluid.
Is that
PCP.
right? Will you dip a cigarette and then smoke?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he used to play sports, he used to play football, and just.
That's so sad. Where's dad now?
In prison.
Good.
Yeah.
At least now we know that son's protected. Although, problem is he did the damage while he was out.
Yeah.
How long is he going to be in?
He's supposed to be getting out sometime, I guess, I don't even know, sometime this year I know of.
Because, I mean, if I let him out, I had serious concerns about him having contact with dad. I don't want him to have contact.
He don't want to have contact with his father. I mean, I don't talk about it on his father, but he knows what his father did, like, you know. He stays with me now.
Where was he before?
With his dad and his grandmother. They always wanted to put him in a psych ward.
Should we have him evaluated by a doctor here to see what the proper, Lori, should we have him evaluated by a doctor to see what the proper care is?
I am getting him evaluated for competency. That's what the plan is to do. The mother has a concern of him waiting in jail to do that. And they don't have the money to afford the $15,000 bonds. And so they asked me to see if they could get them reduced.
Problem is that you have to understand, you let him out, he doesn't show up to court. He just doesn't.
Yes, sir. Now that I'm informed of it, he will be in court. He will go and take his mental evaluations, his whatever is he has to do. I'll make sure he gets it done.
Good morning, Mr. Swearingen.
Good morning.
How's jail?
It's jumpy.
Yeah, it's not a fun place, right? Your mom wants me to let you out, but when I let you out, you never come back. The problem I have is that I would love to let you out, but I know if I let you out, I'm not going to see you again until we arrest you. And that's a problem.
Sir, have a seat. Have a seat, please.
What do you want to do with your life, Mr. Swearingen? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do in life? Do you want to do anything? Talk to me. It's okay. I want to help you. I don't want to keep you in jail. I want to let you out. But I have to know that I can trust you and that you're not going to be a danger to anyone. Can you help us with that? If he's housed in general pop now, is it possible to move him to a different location?
They make the assessment, I believe, in the jail. I can make a request to our social services.
I can do a court order and we can do whatever we
Yeah, but
want. If,
you can do the court order, you could probably ask for it to be placed in the MSU housing. The only thing is, before they do that, he'll have to be reevaluated by the doctors there in the jail. Then, at that point, if they find that it's viable, then they will put him there. Matter of fact, let me see here.
I mean, Lori, we can kill two birds with one stone here.
Yeah, he's on the 5th floor. He's not on that floor. He would have to be on the second floor.
Is that the MHMRA floor?
Yeah, that's half of that floor is for that.
I don't know. What do you think? Problem is that this has happened already 4 or 5 times now, where we've let him out and he doesn't show up. You know, what?
Well, the last time he was let out, I couldn't find him for 47 days because I was calling the jail and the jail told me that he was incarcerated and he had a court date, but the whole time he wasn't even here. He was sitting on the bench for like 3 days waiting on me to pick him up. He didn't have no phone number. He couldn't find his way home. So
I'm happy that you're here though. It helps a lot because, I mean, if you weren't here, you being here shows me that you care and I want to help you and I want to work with you, right?
I mean, whatever stipulation, whatever I have to do to make sure he's home and like I'll get everything in my medication, whatever. I just worry about him being in here.
If I let him out, is he going to listen to you? That's one of my main concerns. Yeah, I can let him out, but is he going to listen to you? If I let you out, are you going to listen to mom?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What happens if you don't listen to mom?
No court.
Back to jail. I'm not going to play this game with you again, Mrs. Swearingen. If I let you out, the only reason is for you to stay with mom. You live with mom and you say yes to her rules. It doesn't matter if it makes you mad. You listen to mom. Because if you don't, I will put you back in jail and I'm not going to do this again. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm not asking for much. All I want you to do is just behave. Be nice. It's not hard. If you get upset, find another release. Don't beat someone up. Don't threaten. Go outside and run. Go play basketball. Beat up a tree, but not a person. And be nice to them. Lori, I'd like to have him tested and I want to give him a curfew because I
Okay.
don't want him out in the middle of the night.
Okay,
What do you think about a monitor? Yay or nay? We need more.
Mom says fine. An electronic monitor.
So that we know where he is.
Yes, sir.
He will get it prior to release so that we know it gets on. He's gonna have a curfew of 9 or 10, whatever you think is appropriate. He must attend all doctor's appointments and take any prescribed medication from a doctor, and he's got to stay with you and no weapons. And the only reason is because you're here. And I'll tell you now, I'm not going to do this again. I will not do this again. If you leave, if you start using alcohol or drugs, you do something you're not supposed to, I will put you back in jail, and I'm not going to do this again. Do you understand, Mr. Swearingen? Okay. Look, life is not hard, okay? Just a couple basic rules, and if you can follow them, everyone's happy, including us.
Yes, sir.
If you ever have any issues, Lori can always help you out, and she can get a hold of me, and anything can happen. We can make anything happen. All right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
You seem like you're doing great. You're doing great. Just keep it up. Are you taking any medication now?
I take medicine for pain.
Good. Keep taking it. It's working. Don't stop. That's something else that I want you to do. I want you to keep taking the medication, okay? Okay, Mom. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. You got it.
That was such an interesting one today. There were so many questions I had about that one, so many things going on, and that mom seemed to care. I hate hearing that last time he was let out of jail, he sat on a bench for 3 days waiting for her. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But either way, we got to do a little bit better with people. I don't know what in the world goes on, but we got to figure that out a little bit better. We've got another one here where last week the fellow lost his phone privileges because he wanted to threaten the complaining witness. I'm going to call it the victim. In court, they call it the complaining witness, but I'll just go ahead and say he was threatening the victim, and he's 19, so he's doing what 19-year-olds do, acting 19. And the judge and the attorney for him went back and forth over it. And it was pretty interesting getting to see some of the behind the scenes stuff, getting to see some of the arguments for it. It brought up a question I had was, if you're a defense attorney and you know that your client is a bad person, you're advocating to get them out of jail, knowing that they're a bad person and they're going to go do bad things. How do you create that mindset to just simply be able to put a wall up and say, I'm going to do what's best for my client? Because I was convinced that, if he got out, he was probably going to hurt her, but his attorney can't think of it that way. And so I'm going to have to mark off defense attorney off another job I can't do. So let's see how that goes.
Are
Yes, Judge.
you solo?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm gonna. Whenever-
Great state of Texas.
Right.
Ready?
Order in the court, they're gonna be going on the record.
Guys, we're going on the record. If you need to talk, go outside. Can I have the cost number again?
Sure, it is 377.
You don't want to wait for a DVD?
So DVD had to run to ERD and he,
Not a problem.
I'll let the state of Texas speak for themselves, but I believe they've coordinated
Ramona, ready?
the state.
Yes, Judge.
All right, so we're on the record in cause number 253-4377. Also 2505-146. And today's date is 10/21/24, October 21, 2024. It's approximately 11:50 in the morning. Guys, I'd like you to announce yourselves for purposes of the record, please.
Michael Haddad for the state.
Anna Edie on behalf of Mr. Wiggins.
Okay. We were here late last week, and the reason that we were here was we had a prosecutor here for the work with the Domestic Violence Division approach me with Miss Edie and tell us that Mr. Wiggins has been making threatening phone calls from the jail to the complaining witness in this case. Not only was he making threatening phone calls, but he was also using two other SPIN numbers from other inmates to also try to make phone calls to the complaining witness, and make threatening statements saying that, number one, he was going to do harm to her, that he was going to not follow bond conditions. And what I found was that not only is he a threat to society while he's out in society, because what we had in April of this year, he picks up an assault of a family member. A couple months down the road, he picks up 4 counts of aggravated assault and 5 counts of aggravated assault, 2 VPOs because he's allegedly shooting a gun in a car where there are at least 3 complaining witnesses. So I'd revoked the bond, I set it high, and it came to our attention that he's continuing while in custody still to be a threat to public safety. So what I did was, over objection from defense, I restricted his phone call. I basically took away his phone privileges in the jail. And the way that we did that was through AgSeg, administrative segregation, where he is now housed in a separate part of the jail that does not allow any access to phones. Did I miss anything?
That's a good summary of what happened.
Still has nothing to add.
So we're here today because counsel for the defense has issues with the order that I did. I'll let you.
Okay. And before we get started, I just want to say that the Harris County Public Defender's Office represents Mr. Wiggins on his felonies. The designated representative, Christina Wong, is out of the office. And I've been unable to coordinate with the Public Defender's Office to get someone here. But they do have an interest in this. I would imagine that they're in alignment with my position. I can't speak for them, but the ongoing constitutional violation I thought was serious enough to approach without them.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Wiggins is not allowed to use any phones at all, which means he cannot call me or his felony attorney. The court had suggested that if he needed to get in touch with us, he could write a letter, put it in the mail, and then we could contact him. My issue with that is that all outgoing mail from the jail is open and read, including legal mail. That's also going to add to a delay. So if Mr. Wiggins needs to speak with one of us urgently, we're going to have to wait for the jail to process it, put the letter back in the envelope, and then wait for the Postal Service to deliver it. So by that time, the problem could be worse. It could be overcome by events. I'm just the time delay on that. The other concern, and I'm going to show this picture to Mr. Hadid. When I went to visit Mr. Wiggins at the jail, because he's in administrative separation, this is the attorney room that we needed to use. And there's big red signs that says those phone calls are recorded. So I'm asking the court to allow Mr. Wiggins to contact his felony attorney and myself. And if we go visit the jail, that we do it in a way that those phone calls are not recorded.
I have absolutely no problem with you being able to go visit him in jail.
Okay.
And I would hope that they would allow you to have access to him as they would in any other instance when a person has the ability to go talk to an inmate. I have serious reservations about giving him access to phone privileges, though, as far as being able to call someone, because I don't know the protocol and I don't know if they have enough manpower to be able to sit there and actually look at who he's dialing. He's a threat to public safety, and he's a continued threat while in the jail. Not only is he's also using other inmates to be able to facilitate criminality. I mean, this is really the least restrictive means that we have to be able to protect the public. I don't know how else to go about it, because I certainly want you to be able to speak with him. And what we could theoretically do is have him come and put him on the docket every 3 days so that you can have continuing access to Mr. Wiggins. I'm happy to do that.
Well, the problem is that the holdover, there's no privacy. There's other
We can wait-
attorneys.
We can wait until you guys are the last ones here, where you have the entire holdover to yourself. That's always a manner as well. We can put him in a separate room by himself there. But like I said, we can always wait till you guys are the last ones here, so you have complete and utter privacy and no one else there to influence him, or no one to hear what the conversations happen. But how can I, you want phone privileges, or what do you want?
I want him to be able to, I mean, I understand the seriousness of the allegation. I understand, that the court's concern, but my concern and my duty is to ensure that Mr. Wiggins has his 6 minutes right to counsel, and that his felony attorney and I can both provide effective assistance.
And I want that to happen. I don't want to restrict any kind of access. All I want is him not to be able to use the phone to call out to the general public. I don't know how that can happen if I give him just privileges to call you. Because the danger to be able to misuse that is just too great, and it's not so. Did you go see him?
I did, and
What happened?
so when I realized they were going to put us in that attorney room, they told me that that's the room we had to use. And I was unable to effectively communicate with Mr. Wiggins because those phones were not working. Now that's a completely separate issue. But I reached out to.
Even if those phones had been working,
well,
they were recording?
They were recorded, and I don't know if the court is aware of how the phone system works at the jail, but normally you go into a private attorney room.
You have the phones, you pick it up, and
Correct.
there's the big plexiglass, and yes, those aren't recorded.
No, those are not.
Right.
But the room we had to use, because he's in the administrative separation, which is the only way the jail can ensure he doesn't use the phone. It's a private room, but when you pick up the phone, it has a keypad for Mr. Wiggins to put in his SPIN and PIN number to record that call. And like I said, you can see the huge signs that say,
Right. So do you want to bring him here every couple of days so we can have just continuing meetings, and we wait till the last people are out and you can have contact with him?
well,
I don't know how else to do it at the jail.
I don't either, but I have concerns about, the cost involved of transporting him every 3 days.
You can't, what?
Don't
even worry about that.
Okay.
Who cares?
I don't think that's sufficient to, for his felony attorney and I to provide effective assistance of counsel.
Judge, the way the motion is written, the state is unopposed, but we understand your concern about how the jail, with their internal procedure and where he's housed, is going to actually enforce that to where when he's on the phone, he's only calling and speaking to his attorney. So we're unopposed to the motion with the way it's written, but we also will refer to you and understand it.
I don't know how to do that, Anna.
Is there a way that, and I don't know the jail policies and procedures, but he could stay in the administrative separation, but the jail only allows him to call certain numbers?
No, that's what I'm saying. The risk of him trying to misuse that is just too high. And I mean, that would require the jailer to sit there and look at the actual number he's dialing, making sure that it's the right number. How are they going to know that?
Can I ask, Judge, what was the policy for mail, for letters? Did you say you could send out letters?
Well,
Okay,
I mean, he can send letters to the lawyer, but he's not supposed
but
to. have-
those letters are read.
well,
All,
I know you said you're concerned about that. I know for a fact that they're not. They're only read in certain circumstances where if they feel, I don't want to discuss Harris County Jail policies on the record without someone here to testify to
Yeah.
that. But I will say that I have personal knowledge that not all mail is open and read. There's very certain circumstances in which it's opened and read
I don't
for the
know.
general public.
I don't know how to do I don't know how to work it. Do you have any? I don't feel comfortable giving him access to a phone to dial out. That's for sure. He's proven that he's just too big of a danger to be able to give him access to a phone.
and if I could, Judge, I just want to point out that, not minimizing the allegations of the threats that were made from the jail, but he was not trying to coordinate with someone on the outside. I don't think there's been any allegations that he was trying to coordinate somebody to affect harm. He was just reaching out to the complaining witness.
He's not supposed to.
I understand he's not supposed to have any
He's not
contact.
supposed to. He's using other people's spins, continuing to make threats, and then blatantly saying that the bond conditions I'm not going to follow the bond conditions. I'm going to get out. I'm going to get me a damn good lawyer, and the bond conditions are going to go, you know where.
Well, and I would also point out that if he's in jail, he's not on bond.
He's still instilling fear
I
into a complaining witness that he shot at.
understand.
know-
Just my concern is Mr. Wiggins and his
So
ability.
why don't we bring him here every other day? And I'm happy to do that as well. That way we have him wait till the end and you can meet with him. I'm not giving him access to a phone. It's been 2 days, 3 days,
Okay,
you know? I want to give you as much access as I possibly can over there, over here, however, but I'm not giving him access to a phone. It's inviting danger. And, if someone else says that I'm wrong, hey, but he's not always a danger when he's out, but he's a danger when he's in.
understood, Judge.
Perhaps now we'll get his attention.
Okay, can I enter the photo that I took as an exhibit?
Yes, absolutely.
And do I need to lay the foundation, or
Um,
I'm not sure how it works in this setting?
I guess, Ramona, you want me to have her file it and then we'll make it part of your record, I guess?
Judge, just let her offer it like she normally would, and I'll get it from her as soon as this is over.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to tender into evidence a picture of the jail showing that the jail phone calls are recorded. I'm offering it to opposing, or to the state.
The objection
The
statement.
state's unopposed.
It'll be entered as defense
Exhibit
exhibit
one.
1 as for purposes of the record. I have not read your motion. Let me just
Okay.
see real quick what it says. So the motion is defendant's motion to allow confidential and telephone communication with his lawyers. I'm sorry. It pains me to do it, Anna. It really does.
No, we just,
I can't. I'm happy to deny.
okay,
I don't know how else to micromanage to make sure that he's not using a phone in a malicious way. I don't know if the jail has the manpower to sit there and look at what the actual phone number that he's supposed to dial, watch him sit there and do it every single time.
well, they have the manpower to monitor his calls, which is how,
The problem is that there's no phones there. That's why we have them there. So they'd have to take him to another place, sit there, and then they're gonna watch him the whole time. you
I would have
know?
objections to that because
And then if they go out of the room, he hangs up the phone, boom, dials another number real quick. It's just, it's just too much.
okay,
So, sorry,
understood, Judge. May I be excused? Okay, thank you.
off the record.
Anna,
Yes, ma'am.
can you come see me?
Yes. Can I talk to Judge about set another case for trial and then I'll come back?
Oh, sure,
Okay.
that's fine.
I'm gonna jump out of that, and we're getting ready to start up some Thurston County madness from a few months ago, and it's coming back again. Yeah, Erica, I was hearing it too. I'm not sure where that feedback was coming from. I certainly don't remember hearing it earlier, and I checked and I can't see that I had anything else going. So, but we're gonna jump over to Thurston County. They had their protection order hearings, and they had some goofy ones here. After this show, we're going to do another court addict over on American Courts too, and we've got the DUI from a weed case from Judge Fleischer today and last week, and we've also got a Thurston County one that involves special needs person, and so absolutely ATX. It was a ghost, not me. And yeah, it wasn't me. It had to have been somewhere in the computer or something, because I could hear it somewhere. It sounded like somebody was on a call in the background, and we don't have any landlines or anything like that around here to cause that interference. So let's jump over to some Thurston County.
Mr. Burnham, come on up and take a seat. What's that? No, it will not. Thank you. So, Mr. Blacksmith, looks like an order was entered a while ago,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you're asking to renew the order.
Yes, sir.
And this is a neighbor of yours, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. He's shaking his head no.
He lives
So-
approximately 500 and some odd feet from my house, Your Honor, so.
Quarter mile, Your Honor.
Okay, so hang on, I heard, as I said to other people, if two people are talking to me, I'm not gonna be able to understand either one. So, Mr. Vernon, I promise I'll give you a chance to respond, but I'm gonna swear in Mr. I asked those questions before I swore him in, and I'm gonna swear him in now, and then I'm gonna ask him why he thinks the order should be renewed. Then I'll give you a chance to tell me why you think
Thank you.
not.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Blacksmith, can you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead. Why should this order be reissued?
Okay, let me get to my paperwork here. I'm waiting for the page to load on here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. My apologies, Your Honor. I'm trying to get my computer figured out here. The seriousness of Michael Vernon's aggressive behavior and threats of violence prior to the issuance of this protection order, his continued harassment and unchanged hostility towards me merit a renewal of the court's finding that he is a credible threat and should be ordered to stay away from me and my residence indefinitely. I want the renewed order to stay in place permanently. Let's see here. Michael Vernham, the respondent, has continued to harass me by displaying signs on his house and property containing threatening statements designed to intimidate me and malicious and defamatory statements about myself and my wife, Exhibit 1. And in Exhibit 1, I have some of the photographs that have been taken of his home and the signs. The respondent has also slandered me to my neighbors, and in Exhibit 2, I have a statement from one of my neighbors who had actually spoken directly with Mr. Vernham. I believe that the respondent displays these signs because he is, 1, fixated on me, 2, hopes to provoke me into some kind of altercation, 3, seeks to punish me for obtaining a protection order, and 4, lacks self-control. The respondent's behavior demonstrates an unchanged attitude towards me that is concerning, given his history of unprovoked physical attacks and threats of gun violence. I have not driven by the respondent's house for an entire year, going well out of my way to avoid any conflict. Yet he still bears a grudge, which shows the respondent is incapable of change on his own and needs the guardrails of the court in order to keep him from engaging in foolish and aggressive behavior that could end tragically for everyone. Past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. With the background information, as a reminder, the respondent engaged in 2 unprovoked acts of first aggression against me on July 21st, 2023, while I was driving my 3-wheeled motorcycle on the street public right-of-way near his house, including forcible restraint, assault, threats of violence, and gun violence, hate speech, and an attempt to disarm me. The respondent's rationale for the attack stemmed from his irrational belief that I was speeding past his house, despite his lack of formal training and ability to measure my speed, and decision to take the law into his own hands. On September 22nd, 2023, the respondent engaged in 2 more instances of unprovoked aggression against me using his vehicle. The first time he drove by and verbally harassed me and my visiting friends while I was in my front yard. Later that day, he repeated his behavior and attempted to assault me with his vehicle. For my part, I called law enforcement both times. Responding deputy on 7/21/2023 told the respondent it was not his job to enforce the speed limit. I had the option to press charges, but allowed the respondent to apologize instead. However, I was forced to obtain a protection order after the other 2 incidents on 9/22/2024 made it clear that the respondent was dangerous, mentally unstable, and would continue his harassing behavior. The fact that he came to my house was a clear escalation. The respondent admitted to the 4 incidents in court on November 6, 2023, although he made excuses for his behavior. The judge concluded that the respondent's claim I was speeding was not credible given the short distance between intersections and his lack of training, and told the respondent his actions were foolish. And in fact, the judge had called Mr. Vernum directly, said that he was foolish and that his actions were foolish. Let's see here. The judge concluded the respondent's claim I was speeding was not credible. Okay, I said that. His sign harassment campaign started in earnest about a month later and has continued until present. Throughout this process, I have learned that the respondent has a history of 1, threatening and bullying people in the neighborhood, see written statements submitted with original petition, and 2, harassment, May 5th, 2005, Tumwater Municipal Court, offense code 9.16.120, case number, and then big old long case number after it, which you have there probably with you. And I'd like to read the impact of harassment on the petitioner. Even though I have every right to walk or drive down the public road in front of the respondent's house and do so unmolested, I haven't walked or ridden my motorcycle in my neighborhood for a year because I don't feel safe. And in fact, I've not ridden my motorcycle since the last incident that had occurred. Let's see here. I haven't because I don't feel safe. In the interest of avoiding conflict, I have also consistently bypassed the respondent's house when driving and have taken a less convenient alternate route for the past year. Imagine having to give up your enjoyable activities and walk on eggshells in your own neighborhood because your neighbor is harassing you. To feel safer in my own home, I just purchased an expensive $4,500 security gate for my driveway. Yet the signs remain up and the respondent eagerly spreads lies about me in my neighborhood. My quality of life has been diminished by this continued harassment. In addition to this very real physical danger posed by the respondent's hostility towards me, which disrupts my peace and makes me feel unsafe in my own home and neighborhood, the situation has caused me to suffer from anxiety, insomnia, and nightmares. These conditions have been greatly aggravated by the prospect of the court not renewing this protection order because I perceive the respondent is still a threat and believe that he will resume his unlawful behavior of trying to assault me if a renewal is not granted. And then I have my exhibit list. The first one, the first exhibit that I have, the first 5 photos were taken on 12/8/2023, 1/26/2024, and 1/28/2024, respectively, and provided to me by concerned neighbors. The last 2 photos were taken by my wife on 10/2/2024 and 10/4/2024. Below, I've summarized what the signs mean in the context of the respondent's past comments and provided other details that might be helpful to the court. First one, we have a coward from Desert Storm on the hood on Gregory.
You don't need to repeat those. I could see the picture.
Thank you.
And those are the ones that were up in October?
They were up in October, and they'd actually been up for quite a while. He did put up other signs as well, but my neighbors didn't stop and take pictures of all of them. In fact, at one point, I had told people, don't put yourself in any danger by taking pictures of the Mr. Vernum's home. Don't engage with them. I want him to be left alone. And so. Yeah, and some of the signs, I'm aware of some of what they said, some of the signs that he had up that I don't have pictures of. At one point, he had a sign up that had said, where's Benedict Arnold, alluding to why I've not, been in his neck of the neighborhood. Well, I've been respecting his space and leaving him alone, and I don't want to anger him by driving in front of his house.
Let me hear from, again, I reviewed, you repeated a lot what was filed. Let me hear, I'm going to swear in Mr. Vernum, and then I'm going to hear from him, and then I'll make a decision as to whether or not the order will be extended for a year. So could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And you can stay on keep your camera activated there, Mr. Blacksmith. You can put your hand down. And so, yeah, so he's asking to extend the order for a year. What's your position on that?
Well, everything he just said was a lie. I haven't seen this guy. Well, this is the first time I've seen him since a year ago, November 6th in court on video.
Right.
Like I told Judge Buckley back in 6 when I was asked about why I put signs up like this. It's called the First Amendment.
No, I know.
And Judge Buckley said he wasn't going there. I had neighbors that lied about my dog and they had it murdered. So I made signs calling him all kinds of names.
Right.
This guy says I threatened him with a gun, Your Honor. I didn't have a gun. He had the gun on him.
Okay, so you don't need to raise your voice at me. I'm right here.
Sorry.
Okay.
But Judge Hoopman or whoever it was a year ago would not read what my 2 neighbors saw him doing. When Sybil said that she was scared he was going to shoot me with his gun. I backed off like this. I can't raise my right arm because my right shoulder's gone. My left hand's broke. I can't make a fist. This is the best I can make a fist. Okay. And my signs are none of them have his name on them. None of them have his address on them. I'm doing my First Amendment.
Right.
Now, the thing that started this is when Israel was invaded October 7th of last year. I have a good friend that was a judge here 20 years ago, 18 years ago, who was Jewish. I have a brother that I call my big brother who's dead now. He was Green Beret and he was Jewish. This Israel sign was put up and I put my dead brother's flag down that said, kill them all, let God sort them out, referring to Israel.
Okay, so I'm not.
Well, he came after me for this Israel sign and to kill them all, let God sort them out.
Just a minute, just. You said you haven't seen him for a year.
I've never seen him.
Okay, then I guess what's the issue with extending the order? I mean, wouldn't you guys want to stay apart from each other? Wouldn't that be a good thing?
I don't want an order on me. I'm due for 2 operations. They just found out a week ago, the day I got this thing served to me. Right. I have a thing in my aorta, one of those aneurysm things. Okay, I have to have my nose broke here next month because it got broke 12 years ago when I passed out from dehydration and broke it. I can't breathe out of it. Plus, I want my gun rights back. You guys took 2 guns. One was my son's, one was my daughter's. I didn't know these 2 guns were in my house until 2 years ago when we removed my gun safe and they were making noise in them. My guns have been out of my house since 1990. This is a lot of stress on me for something I didn't do. I wish the court would read what my neighbors said that they saw that day. On June 22nd of 2023 at 10:07 in the morning. I went down to his house September 21st, but I didn't know that was his house because some kid stopped in a car and it turned out being his son and he was throwing garbage in my driveway. Now, Lieutenant Tarver, who used to be a sheriff at this place, and I think he's dead now, was one of my neighbors. And he always told us the way to handle the speeders that we have is get a license number and an address and try to talk to them. This guy was doing 50, 60 miles an hour in a residential neighborhood. And all I wanted him to do was slow down. We've had 3 kids hit in front of my house in 45 years. And it's not pretty watching a kid bounce off a bumper and hit the asphalt. I did not threaten this man with a 44 Magnum. I said, you made my day because 22 years ago, 2 GIs pulled a gun on me down in the neighborhood because they were speeding and throwing beer cans all over the road. And they paid for it, but I never threatened them.
Did you have something you want me to read?
Yes, sir, I do.
Could you hand it forward, please?
May I come up?
Yes.
There's 2 pages from 2 different of my neighbors.
All right. Give me just a moment.
Yes, sir.
Been in place for a year is going to continue for another year and all of that. That's the only thing I'm here for right now. And so I've reviewed that. You know, I've listened to you speak. I've listened to Mr. Blacksmith, and I'm sorry to hear about your health issues. Sounds like that's a
My
serious
daughter
thing.
was murdered. My son killed himself. Okay, that's why I have health issues.
Okay.
I don't even
Okay.
go to my children's cross that was put up in the neighborhood because of the threat of him calling. He called the cops on me on January 20th for riding my bike at nighttime in the rain, which I don't ride. My hand's broke. I can't ride my bike. I haven't rode it since 15. He keeps calling the cops on me. I got a neighbor that does it. He doesn't like my signs. He says it depreciates his house. There's Muslims down the road. Those garage
Okay,
doors.
so
I know it.
That doesn't matter. Okay, it just doesn't matter. I mean, those signs, and you're right, you have a First Amendment right to do
I'm
that.
not bothering him. I don't talk to him. I haven't seen him. I don't call him. I don't know his number. I just want my freedom back.
One of the bystanders, that's
Mr. Blacksmith, he said, I mean, he says you've called the police on him several times. Is that accurate? Not, or why?
I called the police on him during the first incident, the first couple of incidents, and then 2 times when we drove by with this car, made contact with me in front of my home.
And what do you do at that point?
Well, when he got when 911 was dialed by one of the bystanders, that's when he got angry, sped down the road, lost control of his vehicle, went into one of the neighbors' yards, restarted it back up after he stalled it. It went into another's neighbor's yard, and then he drove up the side the 15-foot right of way. And it was my belief he was going to strike me with his vehicle.
When did that happen?
That was the very last incident that I had read off on the paperwork right there.
I know, but what was that before or after the order was entered?
That was before the order was entered. Yeah. Since the order has been entered, I only called the police once on him, and that's he drove by on his motorcycle and revved his engine really hard. It was relatively harmless, other than documenting it for court purposes. I called the police so that, I had, a record. We looked at the video. The police looked at the video. It was indeterminate if it was Mr. Burnham, but his bike does have a unique note to it, and he most certainly is not telling the truth when he said he does not ride his motorcycle. In fact, one of my neighbors, just before he got restationed in Indiana, had seen him pulling into his parking lot on his motorcycle. So Mr. Burnham is not exactly telling the truth. He does occasionally ride his motorcycle.
I'll allow you to respond to that.
Your Honor, I haven't rode my bike since they found me almost dead in my house in 12/21. I blew the shoulder out on 6 when somebody hit me on my bike and it looked like they were going to total me out. So I stood up on my stirrup and I put my body between the car and my bike and my shoulder took it. I can't do much more than this with my arm. I ride my bike to the gas station periodically to put fuel in it. That night, the sheriff called me on January 20th or the 22nd, a little after 9, and started asking me if I was riding my bike. I said, no, deputy, but you can come over here and touch my bike and see if it's cold or hot. He never showed up. This guy tried shooting me with his gun, Your Honor. And now he's trying to say that I'm the one that threatened him with a gun. I would never threaten anybody with a gun. And I'll tell you how. In 1990, on March 26th, my kid's mother got tied up with a felon. He talked her into kicking me out for molesting my children and sexual abuse to her. 2 weeks later, I was given my kids back. I won custody of them January 8th, and they were kidnapped by their mother and this man. My boy was dumped off on the street, and my daughter was taken. We didn't see her for 3.5 months. I raised my kids. 10 years, 8 months later, my daughter was butchered down the road from the house, stabbed 19 times. It was horrifying. And my son killed himself shortly after that because the mother was not allowed to go to the funeral and she never went to his. Now, I've had problems, but I'm not a psycho. I don't bother people. And I think my letters my neighbors gave you will instigate that, tell you that. I don't bother nobody. We've had problems with speeders in our neighborhood for a long time. And when I drove the car down there on September 21st of 23, it was to get a license number. And he yelled out 4 times when he saw it was me, how are your dead children? That's why I drove up on those neighbors' lawn, because I was puking in a Walmart bag because he said that. And I went home and I've never been back to that part of the neighborhood since. I don't go visit any of my friends. I stay on my end of the neighborhood. This guy's trying to keep me in trouble. I know what restraining orders are and what they do.
You're not in trouble. You said that there was a cross you're not able to visit. Where is
Pardon?
it? You said, I thought I heard you say there was a cross that you're not able to visit.
Yeah, the kids put cross up for where my daughter was butchered, and then they put my
Okay,
son's
so
name.
where is that?
Well, when you go where my street is,
Okay.
9th Way,
No, let's assume for the moment I'm not familiar with their neighborhood.
it's a quarter mile away from his house.
Okay, so Mr. Blacksmith, are you aware of this cross? Do you know what he's talking about?
I am, Your Honor. And in fact, the cross is not on the same street that I'm at.
Okay. So hang on just a minute, just a minute. Can he visit this cross without violating the order as it stands now?
Absolutely, Your Honor, you can.
Yeah.
But people that have orders like he has on me, if he would have been driving out of the other entrance of the neighborhood, he would have been calling you people.
Okay.
This is what I want to prevent.
Okay.
I don't want to die right now.
So, okay. Mr. Vernum, here's going to be my ruling in this case, okay? So I've heard you speak, I've listened to your testimony, I've read what you reviewed, which was apparently pertinent to the original order that was entered. That order was entered. The only thing in front of me here today is whether or not this order is going to be extended for another year. And based on everything I've heard, the testimony, I'm going to grant the order. I'm going to grant the request. It's going to continue for another year.
Well, then you might as well throw me in jail right now, because I'm not going to go another year of this kind of stuff.
Okay, so hang on just a minute. I'm not going to throw you in jail right now.
No, I'll drive by his house when I go home.
Okay, so
I'm not putting up with this no more, Your Honor. Judge Buckley says I have the right to express my First Amendment right, and that's what I'm doing.
You do.
I don't have no signs with his name on it.
Okay.
None.
Okay.
I haven't been to that part of the neighborhood at all.
So if you want a copy of the renewal order, you can have it, but that'll conclude the hearing for today, or you can
So
get a
you're
copy
gonna
of it.
do this to me again.
I didn't do it. I'm not doing anything.
What did
to you.
I do wrong? I haven't visited. I don't call. I don't have a cell phone. I don't even know his number.
Okay.
Why are you doing this to me again?
Okay.
I have to go in for an operation, and now I'm going to cancel it tonight today when I go home.
Okay. Well, I don't think you should need to do that or should
Well,
want to.
I'm not going to live this way anymore.
Okay. Well, you
So
know,
call your deputies and have them follow me home because I'm going to his house. This is wrong, Judge.
okay.
Judge Buckley wouldn't have done this to me.
Okay. You can take that if you want it, and you're free to go.
Your Honor, is there
You're free to
something I
leave the
should
Zoom
do?
call. What's that?
Is there something I should be doing if he's gonna show up at my door?
I'm not gonna, I'm not really in position to give you advice. You asked me to extend the order, I did, and then, you saw his reaction. And, we'll see where we're at. But I can't.
I understand, Your Honor. I understand.
I can't give you advice.
I'm just frustrated. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're free to leave the Zoom call.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. Mr. Wood, you come up and take a seat.
How much you want to bet that they just go home and say, you know what, the judge made sense, and they're just going to forgive each other and going about their way? I couldn't imagine being a police officer getting a call from somebody drove by them with their motorcycle. Grown men that, I know one of them's a veteran, the one with the beard. I know he's a veteran. The other one could have been also. But just grown men who've lived their lives and, crying like that. It's just a mess. We're getting ready to finish it up today, but I want to bring up a neat comment. So I'm going to pick on Brecken for a second here. So Brecken right here, her anxiety just hit the roof. Off it goes. I'm sitting there looking at such a pretty profile picture, just a happy-go-lucky person, and just seeing her lose her mind on that, it makes it more and more funny. No, Kim, I don't need a screaming goat. That would drive me crazy. Yeah, that would drive me crazy. I used to raise goats, and we never really had them scream like that. And those things, that's one of the most obnoxious things I've ever heard on Law Talk with Mike. I get it; it's funny on there, but I could not deal with something like that. But those guys are a mess, and in the end, it just shows that their life is going so well, other than the one guy falling apart, that's all they got to complain about. Well, we're going to go ahead and close up shop here. I'm gonna throw a video on to run it out, and then we'll meet you all over on American Courts 2. There's a reason we're over there. American Courts 2 is monetized. It puts a little bit of money in mine and Allie's pockets, and so it's worth it to do it over there. Also, the content's kind of risky, and so if you're going to take a risk with something, you got to be careful about what channel you're taking a risk on. And so there's a reason we're over there. We do appreciate you coming over there, and we do plan on consolidating it some. We do plan on having it figured out, but figuring out YouTube sometimes can be a challenge. So I'm going to jump to a quick little 2-minute video, and then we'll be over there. We'll see you there.
Hey, you've been doing great. I'm gonna take you off. The testing, as much as you've been doing, you're doing great. I'm proud of you. Great job. Just beware, they could call you at any time, but I'm taking you off what you've been doing. You've been doing great. You're happy. You're coming here. You're negative. No more. Just be careful, because you can still get called, but I'm taking off the Monday, Thursday. Okay. Good job, man. Well, let me get your reset. Hold on. We'll get you a normal reset. Okay. 30 days.